Jai Shri Krishna, Narayan, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. We'll pick up on name number 379, 382, kartā. We didn't get a chance to close up yesterday, so without further ado, let's get into it. So this is from the trilogy of Karanam, Karanam, Kartā. Kartā meaning he's the agent who causes others to act. Now, Bhagavan Bhashyakar has simply defined this as kartā swatantratah, which is he's a doer that's independent of others. Most people are completely dependent, or their actions are a reaction. They are not really swatantra, but Bhagavan's deeds are spontaneous and they are not dependent on external factors. Hence, he is the true kartā. The interpretation of kartā also is that Sri Hari is the agent who also causes others to act. So, Panini therefore says, swatantara kartā, one who is freely and independently performing the functions of creation, protection and destruction, and therefore is the doer. He's also the kartā because without him, the mere existence of the Panchbhuts could not have resulted in creation. And even though Jivatmas may think that they are independent, nothing functions without Sri Hari's will. So he is the only real doer or swatantra kartā, and one who acts independently of everything else, hence kartā. The next name is vikartā. Now, this means one who creates a world of varieties. According to Bhagavan Bhashyakar, vichitram bhuvanam kriyate iti vikartā sa eva Bhagavan Vishnu, which means he has created this varied universe, hence he is called vikartā or the change maker. Now, even though he is avikara, he is vikartā, he is avikara, the changeless one, but he makes everything else change over time, which is just a part of his leela or his cosmic play. The universe is but an extension of him, and since the universe undergoes modifications constantly, it can be said that a part of him too undergoes modifications or changes. So, one who creates the infinite varieties that constitute the universe, or it can mean one who has created out of himself the endless manifestations of incarnations, is vikartā, and his creation is vichitra, because it is beyond comprehension, and so are his leelas, hence vikartā. The next name, 382, the unknowable, gahana. It just simply means inscrutable or deep, or one who is difficult to understand. Bhagavan Bhashyakar again interprets this as his real nature, his prowess and his actions cannot be fully understood. Gyatum na shakyate iti gahana, which means he is inscrutable, which is beyond our intellect and reasoning. He is inside all of us and yet we don't know him. So, he who is in us but we do not know, the Kathopanishad also says this, tam durdarsham, godam, etc., which is he is invisible but yet deeply embedded within us. So, he who cannot be comprehended by any known instruments of knowledge, one who is not an object of perception but is the very subject and perceiver in all sense organs, is gahana. Next name, guha, savior, meaning guhati rakshati iti guha. He protects his devotees, he is called guha, but it also means that he conceals his real nature using aspects of maya or the power of illusion, and so he is called guha. In the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritah, which is covered by the power of maya. I am not perceived by most people. So one who hides himself effectively from non-devotees is guha. The Vishnu Bhagavad 10:37-11 also talks about the guha, the witness, who dwells in us most secretively. Hence, in the Bhagavad Gita also in 9:11, Krishna says, Since I am in human form, people underestimate me and do not realize my cosmic eminence. So he reclines in the cave of the heart of all, and one who's at the core is guha. But he's concealed within all these equipments, and so he's described as the one who cannot be seen or perceived by all, since he is veiled by his own maya. Hence, also in the Ramcharitmanas, soi jano jahu dehi janai, which means he cannot reach him with our thoughts, not of our will, and he only becomes known to us of his own will. Now, the next one is vyavasāya 386. This is where we picked up yesterday. This simply means one with a resolute mind, one who's not fickle-minded. Vyavasāya is business. It refers to an activity undertaken with great focus, concentration, and conviction. Bhagavan Bhashyakar refers to Bhagavan's focus on gyan or knowledge by defining this as he is vyavasāya because he is fully focused in knowledge. And it can also be further explained as the one with resolute and pure intellect, or one who has true knowledge of the self. So, all things ultimately end in Srihari, and so he is focused with a mind which is resolute and therefore is regulating everything within the universe. In the Bhagavad Gita, he talks about the fact in 10:36, I'm victory, I'm adventure, and I'm also the strength of the strong. Jayosmi Vyavasayosmi. Or in the Bhagavad Gita 2:41, Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana, which is, those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Or also in the Bhagavad Gita 2:44, Vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhauna vidhiyate, which is in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, or those who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. There are commentators that have referred to the next few names as the aspect of Bhagavan as Achal, Dhruv, like the pole star, or also like Bhishma Pitahama, who has fixed his intelligence on Lord Sri Krishna, hence of resolute intellect, Vyavasāya. 387. Can we stop the talking, please? आपसे बोल रहे हैं. Vyavasthāna, he is the basis. So, the root stha means to establish. Vyavasthānam karoti iti vyavasthāna, or asmin vyavasthiti sarvasya iti vyavasthāna, which is one who establishes everything, or one on whom the basis of everything resides, or one who regulates everything in the universe and the associated functions, means vyavastha, which is the determination, the settlement, the establishment, and therefore vyavasthāna is the one who determines everything and who establishes everything in their respective places or positions, like for example, the roles in the org chart of a corporate establishment. Now, Bhagavan Bhashyakar further elaborates as one in whom there is a well-established place and system for everything. So his alternate definition is that he lays down clear systems for various rulers, various living beings, such as the egg-born, womb-born, seed-born, various classes of people, such as the varnashram, and the various stages of life, as we know. Hence, he is called Vyavasthāna, which is, he is the administration or the basis of all administration. Now, the next one is saṃsthāna, which is the ultimate abode, in one in whom all things have their ultimate end, which is in all endings, he is there, which is the ultimate final resting place. Samapyate iti saṃsthāna, so sarvam etasmin santishtaste, which is, Bhagwan Bhashyakar is explaining this as not only on a daily basis, but also as the final resting place for everybody at the time of the deluge. Alternatively, it can also be interpreted as the one who has the most eminent position, sthāna, and therefore saṃsthāna, as the position of dhruva and dhruva mandalam as an example. Also, institutions are referred to as saṃsthāna, so samyak-sthanam, and the biggest institution is within Srihari, where universes have their play and roles. So he is our saṃsthāna. Within the changes that are constantly occurring in the world and the different universes and the existence at large, the different beings, the states of being, and their established frameworks and residences, they are all well organized and administered, hence saṃsthāna, the ultimate abode. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.4, Sri Bhagavan says, Matsthani sarva bhutani, so on. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I'm not in them. Or even in the Bhagavad Gita 4.8, dharma saṃsthāpana. In this is obviously extremely well known. So I appear in order to re-establish. So saṃsthāpan, which is also to re-establish. The next name is sthānada, 389, which is the conferrer of residences or roles or status or position or whatever. In the context, Bhagwan Bhashyakar has interpreted this as the giver of suitable positions, which means he gives everyone an appropriate position according to their actions and according to their positions. Hence he is called sthānada. For example, Bhagwan also gave position to Sri Dhruva, unlike all the other stars. So Dhruva Maharaj is fixed in position in relation to the earth compared to the other star positions. And he also gives a suitable position to all the stars in the space and the Devlok, in the Devas in the Devlok and in the Antariksh and the water, living creatures in the oceans and so on and so forth. So the entire ecosystem, in a manner of speaking, and the places of beings within that is according to Sri Hari, and therefore sthānada. The next name is Dhruva, one who is firm or fixed. So this name comes from dhruv, which is to be steady, so stable. So he conferred a status on Dhruva Maharaj as permanent, and therefore Dhruv, which means he can make any place permanent as his abode. And the significance is that because he's everywhere, he's always firm or fixed. So indestructible, or to be certain, and everything other than Sri Hari in the universe is adhruv, and so he gives a sense of certainty to all his devotees in terms of their welfare, and so dhruva, and in the midst also of the cycle of creation and pralaya, where everything merges and then reappears, he still is dhruv, the permanent or the fixed one. So dhruva. 391, parardhdi, supreme manifestation. Bhagwan Bhashyakar describes this as parardhdi vibhuti asya parardhdi, which is he's got the supreme manifestation of opulence and affluence. We have talked about this even in the earlier name Parameshwara, and the opulence here refers to both the personal attributes and the material wealth, and riddhi refers to the combination of prosperity and power. The full explanation of riddhi or vibhuti is already there in many chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, but in chapter 10 specifically, where Lord Krishna enumerates how he represents the top or the premium or the cream of every species, for example, the Himalaya amongst the mountains, etc., and so on and so forth. And in verse 40, he says, there is no end to the manifestations of my opulence. I have only given you a small example. Hence, parardhihi. The next name is paramaspaṣṭa. This greatness is completely evident, spaṣṭa. Spaṣṭa means something which is explicit or obvious or extremely clear. Therefore, param means supreme, and so the one who also has parama, which is goddess Lakshmi, beside him is paramaspaṣṭa. So, Bhagavan Bhashyakar incorporates both these meanings in the following explanation. Parama shobha asya iti paramaha, which is he's param because he's supreme overall, or he's adorned with goddess Lakshmi, and so he's spaṣṭa, and his greatness is explicitly obvious. Therefore, paramaspaṣṭa. Paramaspaṣṭa also has the root word spash or bind. spashati badnati, which is to bind. And so one who binds also in an excellent way is paramaspaṣṭa. We will keep this brief because we have a lot of other names to get through. The next name is tuṣṭa, he who is contented. Tush means to be contented, free from wants and desires. So a contented person is tuṣṭa. Bhagavan Bhashyakar explains this name as Paramananda Swarupat tuṣṭa, which means he is supreme joy personified and therefore he is tuṣṭa. In Bhagavad Gita 9:26, Bhagavan also says Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktaya Prayachati, which means with whatever loving devotion offers, whoever with loving devotion offers to me a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water, I affectionately accept that offering. And so he is content with anything. The Bhagavad Gita 2:55 also makes use of this term by saying Atmani eva atma tuṣṭa sthita. So where it's describing the lakshan of sthita pragya, one who finds satisfaction in the self alone. He is a truly enlightened person or a true yogi. Hence, Bhagavan is tuṣṭa and his devotees are also tuṣṭa. So, to be always content is obviously an attribute of the Lord and his devotees also have the same attributes. The next name is puṣṭa, one who is full of noble qualities. As Bhagavan Bhashyakar puts it, sarvatra sampurnatvat puṣṭa, which is he is perfect or complete in all respects, hence puṣṭa. As described by the Upanishads, he is purna, perfect. Every part is perfect, every lila is perfect, every avatar and incarnation is perfect, and this perfection extends to physical form, bodily strength, mental form, intellectual attributes. Hence, puṣṭa, full. And he also keeps his creations fulfilled by making available the means for them to be fulfilled, which is pushnati iti puṣṭa, hence puṣṭa. 395, śubhekṣaṇa. He who has auspicious eyes, shubha means auspicious and ikṣana means to look or glance. So śubhekṣaṇa is the one whose glance is auspicious, namely someone who showers his blessings just by looking at the devotee. Bhagavan Bhashyakar explains this in an elaborate commentary. His mere sight is so auspicious that it bestows all good things on all beings and it gives moksha to the spiritually minded and enjoyments to those who desire them and cleanses sins and burns up karmas and removes ignorance, and hence he is called śubhekṣaṇa, a person with auspicious eyes. Now this applies to both seeing the Lord and being seen by the Lord. Hence there is a quote from the Mundaka Upanishad 2:8, which talks about the fact at his glance the knots of the heart are cut, all doubts are removed and all bad karma is purged, hence śubhekṣaṇa. The next name or the next stanza, Ramo Virāmo Virajaha. Now the first three names will be covered. Rama, who delights his devotees. Now we know the name Ram in a lot of detail. It's an important mantra, not only a name, and Bhagavan Bhashyakar gives the basic meaning. As Nityananda Lakshane Asmin Yoginaha Ramate Iti Ramaha, which is yogis revel in the personality of the everlasting eternal joy, hence it's called Rama. The Padma Puran talks about Rama as the supreme being is called Rama because yogis are always reveling in the internal sphere of bliss all the time, which is Rama. He also gives an alternate interpretation where he talks about the Dashrath Ram, where he says of his own accord, he takes on the beautiful body of the son of Dashrath, so he is called Rama, the beautiful personality. There are very many other interpretations that we will not get into right now. So, reciting the name of the Lord as in the Ram Raksha Stotra also says that just reciting it 3 times is equivalent to reciting all the 1,000 names of Sri Vishnu. Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manoranme and so on and so forth. That is Rama. The next name is 397, virāma, the final resting place. We talked about this even earlier. But viram means rest or cessation of activities. And based upon this, Bhagavan Bhashyakar interprets this name as virāma avasanam praninam asminiti virāma, which is he is the final resting place for all beings, hence he is called virāma. Now, he's also the final resting place because having reached him, there is no return into the realm of experiences. Yad gatvana nivartante and so on. And so he points out that he in whom the world of plurality merges during the deluge or the pralaya is Viram. And when the soul reaches him, there is no rebirth. And so again, the final goal of all is Sri Hari, and we should meditate upon him. The next name is Virataha, which is one who is detached. And Bhagavan Bhashyakar describes this as Vigatam Ratam, which is he's detached from the pursuit of sense objects, hence he's Virataha. The Bhagavan is Virataha because the spirit of detachment is natural to him. There are commentaries that also says that he's without rajogun or agitation of the mind, shobhana, so he's virajaha, dispassionate, and so he's the embodiment of pure sattva guna, and therefore virataha, vigataraktaha, which is without rajogun or tamogun, and hence detached. That is all for today. Tadatmani nirataya Upanishatsu dharmaste mai santu te mai santu. Narayan, Shri Gurubhyo Namah, Jai Shri Krishna.